Hello and welcome to CX Today. My name is Charlie, and today I'm joined by Jay Patel, Vice President and General Manager of Webex CPaaS Solutions. Jay, thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. Great.
Excellent. Well, it's great to have you join us to discuss this topic of CPaaS and how it's changing customer experience. So on that topic, I think probably the best place for us to start for anybody for who this is a new topic is to simply ask you what is CPaaS?
CPaaS stands for Communications Platform as a Service, and broadly it encompasses a range of cloud technologies that help businesses communicate with their customers across different channels of communication, across digital channels like SMS and email, but also across voice and newer channels like WhatsApp and push messaging. And businesses typically are using CPaaS technologies in order to improve customer experience. So I think nowadays most people have got some kind of smartphone and they're getting notifications about when their parcel is about to arrive, or whether they've set up a direct debit, whether they've overpaid a bill. There's a range of use cases that inform customers of what's going on with their account at a service provider, enable them to chat or converse with the business, and CPaaS technologies essentially make that possible.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because maybe CPaaS is built into the back end of a lot of CCaaS solutions, so there's a bit of crossover there. But it would be good to dig into that a little bit more and ask you what is CPaaS allowing us to do, which allowing businesses to do, which they couldn't do before.
The main thing is around the speed at which you can make changes. Clearly, by virtue of technology being cloud-based, by virtue of the model typically being a usage-based model, businesses can quickly inject communication processes into existing processes and improve customer experience. So it really provides agility to businesses to improve customer experience quickly. And that's something which I think that it really has been the move to cloud. It's digital transformation that's taken place over the last few years that's really enabled companies to embrace these cloud technologies to basically get improve customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's interesting to say that you said there that this has been growing over the past few years, and businesses are realizing all the possible use cases that CPaaS gives them. So yeah, digging in further into that too, what trends in the markets have paved the way for this growth of CPaaS?
Firstly, there's been just an incredible growth of smartphone penetration over the last 5 years. It's just the whole world's full of better devices, I would say. Everyone's got a better device. Then there's also been just a massive improvement in the networks, so just coverage of 3G, 4G. But probably more importantly, as businesses have gone through their digital transformation journeys, there's typically many more APIs and many more building blocks that allow companies to look at their customer journeys, look at how they treat customers, and then try and stitch together an event that may happen in a business system with a communication that should happen to improve customer experience, or to look at where customers are getting stuck on a particular issue and again provide them with a way of interacting with the business and stitching all that together. So to give you an example, there's lots of events that happen when you are banking. So I think today we all have some kind of banking app that alerts us every single time there's a payment, right? So that's happened over the last few years as banking systems have become more developed, as they're now using cloud technologies, maybe a push technology, to actually inform customers of what's happening on their account. In a similar way, there's a lot of sites now where you go and you can have live chat with a with a company or a service provider. Typically, some of that's through a bot or maybe through to a live agent. And again, the ability to stitch together what I would call customer touch points with back-end business systems is something which CPaaS facilitates. And over the last few years, you've seen cloud, digital transformation, and the API economy really contribute to that growth.
Yeah, I think it's particularly interesting as well, because I've heard of CPaaS being used almost as a first step into the cloud for a lot of companies to kind of harness those capabilities without having to have kind of a whole scale migration. And I know kind of Cisco is a company that has on-premise, but then it also has kind of this huge cloud platform too. So it can almost work as quite a nice stepping stone within that. So you can create those digital transformation journeys, and you can do that at speed too. So I think it's an interesting topic, and something also that I wanted to dig into that you kind of mentioned how the rise of 5G from 4G to 5G could also supplement the growth of CPaaS. What particularly innovative use cases do you think that could bring to life?
Well, what 5G really does is it introduces obviously just a lot more bandwidth everywhere. And fundamentally, that's going to mean greater use of things like this, video. So I would expect many more use cases to use the richer media channels. So you may have heard of WhatsApp, RCS, Apple Business Messages. So there's a range of new channels or touch points that are digital, that are able to handle video, are able to handle pictures. And I think 5G will enable a lot more of that kind of use of those channels. So, for example, I would think that in the when you buy, I don't know, a new TV or a new PlayStation or games box, there's a part of that journey where you might benefit from having a short how-to video on how to connect everything. And again, having an ability to proactively message you, so that once you become a customer, you're enabled to be able to use the equipment to maybe chat to somebody about any issues you're having. And again, having more bandwidth to the device, making it more real time, is something that I think you're going to see more of. Video also, I think, will play a huge part in customer service. Often in some situations we want to talk to somebody. It may be a bank manager, it may be a GP, it may be an engineer that's going to come and visit our home. I think there's a lot more use cases where video will play a part, and again, 5G will enable video everywhere. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more use cases that involve video once 5G comes around.
Yeah, I think there's lots of great stuff there. And I think from my perspective as well, of kind of the advent of 5G, what could that mean for fan experiences as well, perhaps within big arenas and things like that. I think that also kind of excites me. But I think also the video, in terms of the kind of larger scale customer experience, video is particularly exciting, as you say. And there's lots of great use cases. You've mentioned quite a few as well, proactive and push messaging too. But I was wondering if you could just maybe give us an example of one CCaaS deployment that you've done with Webex within the past year or so, which you consider to be truly innovative.
Well, on CPaaS and CCaaS, I mean clearly at Cisco Webex, we have a market-leading CCaaS solution and a market-leading CPaaS solution, and we blend the two. I think in a unique way today, where we can handle both digital and human interactions, across the same set of connected platforms. So sometimes you may be interacting with a bot, and then you need to talk to a human agent, and it can be handed over. So with Webex Contact Center and Webex Connect, we help businesses bind human and digital interactions. One of the interesting cases I've been particularly proud of. I mean, we won a CX Technology Award in the work that we did with Walgreens around their use of RCS for prescription reminders. That was something which I think was a kind of a visible tick in the box from the industry, which we're very proud of. But one that I also was actually very interested in the results of was we worked with an agency, a government agency in the UK, called Southwark Council. Again, they were sending out reminders for people to pay local taxes and local bills. And what we found was that when they were using the new channels like RCS, that because you can brand those channels, it meant that something like 90% of more people were reassured that the message they were getting was a bona fide message. Because one of the problems that you have with SMS clearly is sometimes there has been phishing, there has been fraud, whereas I think the newer channels and the branding opportunities mean that people can say, oh, actually that's a message from that particular agency. So not only were they more reassured, we also had some great data that I think something like 30 to 40% of more people paid when they received that reminder. So again, not only was it more reassuring for customers, it was more effective in what we were trying to do, which was help them collect monies. So you're seeing that as these channels evolve to more richer media, as they become more interactive and allow for more, videos, bills, and richer messaging, you're going to get customers trusting the channel a lot more, and therefore I think it'll be a lot more effective going forward. So I'd say the work we did for Southwark was particularly rewarding. We've worked with, Walgreens on a particular thing where we won an award. There's a lot of innovation around the corner for sure.
Yeah, I think it's great, especially the stuff around RCS, because I remember seeing quite recently some research from Gartner which says that so many kind of proactive strategies fall down because customers just see an SMS message and they think, oh, is this actually from the company? And they end up calling the contact center, and those benefits that the contactor they thought they kind of had through a proactive strategy in reducing contacts just kind of fell by the wayside. So I think how you're doing that at Webex and turning that problem around and making sure companies do actually get the benefits that they are looking for in terms of customer demand reduction through proactive messaging is particularly great. So yeah, I love that, and also kind of the Walgreens stuff. I think we've covered that on our site actually. That's an interesting story. I might add that in the description box for anybody that wants to delve deeper into that. But I think the final question I'll put to you. This video will probably go live in the new year, so I think it's always a great time to make a prediction. Just wondering if we can close off by asking you, do you have any 2023 predictions for CPaaS?
I think the predictions in our space are pretty straightforward. I mean, because it's the growth has been relentless and continuous over the last few years, and I see it continuing. So something like 60% of businesses use CPaaS today. I know Gartner and Metrigy and a whole bunch of others see that going up to 80-90%. So I think that's going to be growth for the sector. I think the rise of new channels of communication, so beyond SMS, so whether it's WhatsApp, and I was in New York recently and I saw that WhatsApp had sponsored a lot of the billboards outside Madison Square Gardens. So there were huge billboards all about WhatsApp as a channel, and we know that there's going to be increasing penetration of WhatsApp in the US, and I think that's going to be quite an interesting thing to watch. See whether customers and businesses want to use it as a channel. We also obviously there's been a lot of interest in ChatGPT and its possibilities for customer service, for bot conversations, for kind of recognizing intent and creating responses. So I mean that's clearly a trend that is going to continue. A lot more automation, and whether you can spot it's a bot or not a bot, or I think the lines will get blurred. But for me, that's really part of a journey. So the having a conversation with the customer and automating the conversation, I think we're making great strides towards. But actually automating the journey end to end, so that you're able to look at events in business systems, work out when you should communicate with the customer. We see just lots of, again, possibilities and growth around greater automation overall. And so greater automation, newer channels, the use of bots for sure. One of the other things that we've been working on and probably pioneered is low-code tools and visual builders to actually help non-technical folks actually create customer journeys, use the platforms. And again, we see a growth in the use of low-code tools by businesses. And one of the other things I think next year that I'm sure everyone will always look at is security, and how can we make interaction secure? How do we make personal information across these platforms totally secure? So I think there'll be a fair amount of investment in that as well. I've got no doubt that the market will be bigger, more automated, and ultimately it means that we all just have better customer experiences. I think the bar gets higher every year, and I think that's good for everybody.
Yeah, I think there's lots of great predictions within that from automation and security too. And I also kind of wanted to kind of back up your point on WhatsApp there. I saw quite recently Meta held a conference in Brazil, and it was fascinating to see, because what they did in Brazil was they launched a capability where consumers could look for businesses through WhatsApp. And Mark Zuckerberg made it quite clear that he wanted to bring native buying journeys into the channel for the future. So the ramifications that could have across customer experiences, and the benefits that you could get as a CPaaS provider through a CPaaS solution in that context could maybe worth big.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, messaging as we all have got used, particularly during the pandemic, to using messaging apps. So what I see has happened is that the education and the technology rails have been laid in the last few years. Right? There aren't that many people who are probably not part of a WhatsApp group or understand how to use messaging for their conversations with friends and family. Businesses, on the other hand, are not using those rails yet, and I think they will start using those rails, and I think customer experience will get better. Businesses will save money as a result, and as we particularly go into kind of a bit of a downturn, I'm sure businesses will look at these channels and think, okay, I can deliver a better customer experience at a lower cost as well. So. I think there's lots of opportunity for the vendors.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I remember seeing the latest kind of Webex releases for the Webex Contact Center. I think it's 16 plus customer engagement channels. I was thinking, wow, what are all these channels? But yeah, it's amazing to the kind of the plethora kind of the customers can access, and it's going to be an exciting future for sure. But I think that's probably a great place to end today's conversation, looking out kind of into the future. But thank you very much for joining me today, Jay.
Well, thank you, and happy Christmas, and all the best for 2023. Thanks. Cheers.
Excellent. And thanks also to everybody for watching this, and we both wish you all a good Christmas too. Bye for now.